What are the mindsets for learning Scrum, Lean, Discipline Agile, and Amplio? Today's 5 minutes short. Hi, I'm Joshua Barnes, and I'm joined by Al Shalloway. So, in a previous 5 minutes short, we discussed the similarities and the differences with respect to mindset in these varying approaches. And today, Al, why don't you tell us a little bit around how you feel the mindset varies when learning these approaches? So maybe learning as well as somebody, providing instruction on them.
Yeah, I think that it's very significant actually, and it fits somewhat with some of the differences in mindset. And it's very important to recognize this because it sets you up for success or failure, in my opinion. For example, Scrum is a mindset that the complete body of Scrum is simple. You can teach it all pretty much because there's not a lot. It's the 30, 20 page, whatever it is now, even less than that, 15
13
page.
page as of
13 page.
last
Yeah, it
year.
gets smaller and smaller as it gets more abstract. So it keeps it simple. You learn it, then you figure out the rest as you use the framework to help you discover it. So that's the way Scrum deals with cognitive overload. In some ways, the way you deal with the training is a way to avoid overloading students. And that's Scrum's way. It's going to be simple. You can do it all at once. You get started. Now, Lean takes a different approach. Lean suggests there are these universal principles that you can attend to, such as avoiding delays that cause waste, such as working together, creating visibility. There are a few of them, but not that many of them. And the idea is continuous improvement and always improving things and a focus on value. So getting started with Lean doesn't actually take that much either because it's basically has these few key practices: systems thinking, just in time, stop the line when errors are there. So it's a concise mindset. But what happens with Lean, because of the universal principles, they can give you guidance on which practices work at which time. So even though this isn't something talked about in Toyota Production System with manufacturing, in the book, you do get this sense that there are common practices that you do that you can pick from certain situations. And therefore, Lean really doesn't have a limit on its body of knowledge, but it's to just start with the core understanding of a few universal principles, work toward continuously learning. And you avoid overloading in Lean because it's kind of a learning, not by practices or not by a framework, but learning through principles. And I think for things like in the physical world, that's a lot easier to do, and Lean works really well that way. Now, DA takes even yet a different approach. DA's body of knowledge is huge. And some people misunderstand and think DA is therefore complicated. And to be candid, a lot of the ways DA is taught can be complicated because a lot of people teach it as the toolkit and you have to learn it all to decide how you're going to choose your way of working. However, and I think you're going to be talking about this another time, there are ways to make a simple start with DA by recognizing a few key decisions without having to know everything could get you going in the right direction. So in Scrum, where you have a small set of things, in DA, you have a large set. If you don't manage how people learn DA, it will be complicated. It will overload you. But find an instructor. Hey, he's just right over there. Who can guide you into DA where it's not complicated. So that's not so much a mindset issue as how you apply it issue.
But it can get you into the wrong mindset if you're led down a path that is maybe not anywhere near optimal.
Yeah, that's very possible. Now, Amplio, which is my technique, is a blend of all these in the sense, it's not really a blend because I didn't combine them. Amplio is based on the theories of flow, Lean theory of constraint, human development, organizational change. And what I recognize is you have to avoid overloading. People do want a quick start. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, whether it's good or bad, that's what they want. So you have to give that to them. And that you don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. See, one of my complaints about the Scrum training mindset is you reinvent the wheel all the time, or you don't understand the universal principles. And I see teams struggling with things I've solved with dozens of teams before. I think that's a waste. So with Amplio, the focus is, how can I learn a core set of universal principles so I can understand some things? How can I make 2 or 3 decisions that get me a fit for purpose start? So the starting is easy. I don't need to learn that much. I get started quickly, but then it's a intentional way of training or adding material over time. So you're always learning. You're always kind of, hopefully, just within the parameters of what would be cognitive overload, because you want to learn as much as you can, as fast as you can, without overloading it. So the mindset, or rather the amount of knowledge in the Amplio, can be big, and is. It actually pretty much covers a lot. But it's designed to enable you to learn on your own with the universal principles, and to learn at a pace that works for you without overloading. I haven't coined the term for this, but I realized there is a parallel in the way in Agile we use pull to avoid overloading teams in the work. Amplio is designed to use pull of knowledge. You got to start to understand, and then you pull the knowledge as you need it, so you avoid overloading yourself in learning. And I really think it's a nice technique, because you don't have to reinvent things, but you don't get overwhelmed with things.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everyone for joining us live. If you have any questions, please drop a comment on LinkedIn. If you're watching this on the replay, I'll encourage you to do the same. We'll see you next time.
Take care.